Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to be showing y'all how to remove the gauge cluster from an 82 to 85 model Chevy S10 or Blazer. I apologize for the glare, but we'll get right into this. You only need two tools. That is a T10 star bit and then a 5.5 millimeter socket. Now you don't need a flathead screwdriver, but it will come in handy for some of the tabs on the back of the cluster if yours has never been removed or it's been a long time. So make sure to have one of those on hand too. Alright, so first steps first, you're going to need to remove this bezel followed by this bezel here. That's where your T10 is going to come into place. So I'm going to go ahead and get those removed and then we'll jump back in. Quick side note, you are also going to need a 10 millimeter socket and an extension, because there are two 10 millimeter bolts that actually hold the cluster to the frame. Alright, now that we got the bezels off, we're going to move on to actually removing the cluster. This is where your 5.5 millimeter is going to come into play. We got to take this plastic screen off. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 little bolts holding it on. So you're going to pull that screen off first. If you don't have a 5.5 millimeter, like mine was lost, a 7/32 will get the job done. So we're going to pull that off. Alright, now with that guy out, you're going to pull, yours might look a little bit different. A little piece of paper that's got all your lights on it sits on top of this guy here. It'll come off. He will just pull straight out. This black piece may come out with it, which is fine. It's got to come off too. So we're going to take off the black piece. We're going to take off this piece. And he's going to be kind of stuck in there. You're going to have to finagle him. There you go. Alright, now there's only one thing left holding this cluster in, and that is two 10 millimeter bolts. You got one to the left of the speedometer and one to the right of your gas gauge. So we're going to get those pulled out and then the cluster will slide out. Now on the back of the cluster you got a few things you got to take care of, and I'm going to show you all that momentarily. We're going to get those 10 millimeters out of there. Alright, so this is where we're at now. You have got to be extremely careful pulling this out, especially if you do not have a tilt column truck, which this is not a tilt column truck. You got to watch up top to make sure you don't damage any of that little wiring board, especially if you're going to be reusing your cluster. Alright, once you get here, I don't know how well y'all are going to be able to see this. Right there, that rusty little piece coming out is my speedometer cable. Now on the bottom of that cable, you're going to feel a little tab. It's real easy. You're going to press down on that tab and you're going to pull that cable out. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, so after I push down on that tab, here is the tab I was talking about. You're going to push down on that and he will pull right out. Now here is where some differences come in depending on what your truck has. If your gauge cluster looks exactly like this, you do not have a trip meter, none of that, then you're going to do just as I said in this video and you'll be good to go. If your cluster has a trip meter, like this one here, you are going to have, right here to the right of where the speedometer cable goes in that bolt hole, you're going to have 3 wires running in there. And right here, there is going to be another one of those 5.5 millimeter bolts. And you're going to have to reach behind it and undo that to then pull it out. But otherwise, that is all there is to removing the gauge cluster. Just be very careful about all your wire and paper. Make sure it's all in good condition, which this one seems to be great. And then you can reassemble the front of it just to make sure it stays safe during storage. Yeah, that's all there is to it. I'm going to make a video in the future on how to swap out from a dummy light cluster like this one to an actual gauge cluster like that one. but I'm still figuring that out for myself, working out the bugs. So once I do that, then I will make a video on that. You may have a similar question I had about, what about the little needle that rides in there on the little part guy? I could not find anything that disconnects that. He kind of just went away as I pulled the cluster out. Also on my parts truck, I have an 85 Blazer parts truck. It had nothing to disconnect that. So the way I just showed you is the way I have found that these come out very easily. You're going to have to put a little bit of force on it to get it out of the dash. It's going to feel like you're yanking on it hard. I promise you're not going to hurt it. It's just pulling on that speedometer cluster. Well, if you found this video helpful, please do leave a like. I plan on trying to make more YouTube videos about specifically these old S10s, but also just how to take care of older vehicles in general. All right, thank you all, and y'all have a good one.